Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Rachel Williams begins now.
Good evening everyone. To some breaking news first tonight. Police have swarmed on a Mayfield street this afternoon after a suspected shooting. For more now, we're joined by our reporter Sean McComish. Sean, what do we know so far?
Rachel, we don't know too much at this stage. Police haven't released any details. At about 2 o'clock this afternoon, officers swarmed on Mackay Street here in Mayfield, sealing off the area. At least a dozen officers, police, detectives spent the afternoon door-knocking homes. Neighbours we spoke to described hearing a loud bang. Forensic officers were also seen examining gutters and the road. They also searched yards and laneways into the park. An ambulance was also seen leaving the area. We expect police to reveal later tonight just what has happened. As always, Rachel, anyone with information is urged to contact Crime Stoppers.
Yes, indeed. Thank you for that, Sean. Sean McComish joining us there live from Mayfield. With the Liberals now without a candidate for Lions following the scandalous departure of Jessica Whelan, the spotlight has fallen on the National Party's attempt to win over the sprawling electorate. Analysts say the coalition faces an uphill battle to win the seat, but Deanna Hutchinson isn't deterred by the challenges ahead.
For a political candidate seeking the rural vote, there was no better place than AgFest. Nationals challenger Deanna Hutchinson isn't wasting time as the sole hope for the government to win the Tasmanian seat of Lions.
It's really going to be pounding the pavement for the next 2 weeks to really make sure we can get right across the electorate.
The Liberal Party had hoped to wrestle the seat off Labor with this woman.
Welcome, fellow Liberals. I'm Jessica Whelan, your candidate for Lions.
Gone now in the wake of Islamophobic remarks online, some of which Miss Whelan concedes she wrote, leaving just a Longford businesswoman flying the coalition flag.
Well, the only way to get a Scott Morrison government back in is to vote for Nationals in Lions.
As to whether Liberal voters make the switch...
Well, they will, to some degree, but as I said, Lions has a certain strong personality vote, and when the personality is changed, as in the case of Jessica Whelan, it's going to be an issue for them.
Brian Mitchell has held the seat since the 2016 election on a 3.8% margin. The 35,000 square kilometre electorate spans from Port Arthur to St Helens and as far west as Sheffield. Miss Whelan insists she'll run as an independent. The challenge now for the Nationals is recognition in a state where they're still political newcomers. Sean McComish, 7 Tasmania News.
Tasmanian political pundits are digesting the results of this weekend's upper house elections. 2 incumbents will be returned to state parliament. The Liberals retaining Montgomery and Labor enjoying a swing towards it in Pembroke. The outcome in Nelson may not be known for another 10 days, but analysts say it delivers an interesting result for the upcoming federal election.
The Electoral Commission sifting through more than 60,000 ballot papers, counting up the results of yesterday's elections to determine who will claim 3 Tasmanian upper house seats.
All the electors have voted yesterday and we've had our polling places up and running. Now is the day of consolidation where all the ballot papers have been returned to the returning officer and they are rechecked to make sure the votes were counted properly on the Saturday night.
The Liberals' Leonie Hiskett will retain her northwest seat of Montgomery, almost 10,000 first preferences compared to Labor's 5,500, what could be a good sign for the Liberals in Braddon.
It's very pleasing for the Liberal Party and what may well happen. And of course, at the federal election, notwithstanding that there's very different issues at play.
But Pembroke on Hobart's eastern shore is a different story. Labor's Joe Seeker experiencing a significant swing towards her.
And that does bode very well for the federal election. I'm very hopeful now, of course, to see Ben McGregor do well in Clark. I think there was no doubting that Julie Collins would be returned in Franklin. She's been an outstanding local member. But Clark's well and truly in play.
It's better than what I certainly expected. I was really just hoping to retain my seat and certainly took nothing for granted.
The Liberals' Nick Street is leading the primary vote in the seat of Nelson, south of Hobart. But the preference flow is likely to favour progressive independents like Meg Webb.
It's very hard to predict, as most people will say, how these preferences will flow. We'll really just have to sit and wait and see how it all pans out.
Environmentalist Vicar Bailey may edge over opponents. He's taken 16% of the primary vote and is likely to score preferences from the Greens candidate, who's on 11%.
It's a really strong vote, I think, for the progressive side of politics. I think it shows that, the environment, climate, social justice, these issues are featuring strongly at the moment.
Political analyst Richard Herr says it should buoy the Greens' Nick McKim for his chances of holding on to his Senate seat.
They'll be very pleased, I think, to see that there was a strong, in this electorate at least, a strong base for the Greens to build on.
The full result in Nelson may not be known for another 10 days, with the Electoral Commission waiting on another 500 interstate and postal votes. Michael Breen, 7 Tasmania News.
A shake-up is coming to the way Tasmanians earn their driver's licence, with more stringent conditions for learner and provisional drivers. It's hoped to improve road safety, but social services are worried it will create new hurdles for young job seekers unless more help is offered.
20-year-old Ali is just getting started behind the wheel. She's clocked up 47 hours on her L1 licence.
I'm confident, but not so much that I'm ready to go to L2s yet, but it's just a gradual process really.
But that process is set to become more stringent.
Between 2008 and 2018, there were 528 serious injuries or deaths from young people on our roads, and that is in Tasmania. That is unacceptable.
Authorities announcing sweeping changes to the graduated licensing system. L1s will have to achieve 30 hours driving experience. L2s complete 15 hours in the night time, and there's a new hazard perception test to progress to P1.
We need a very strong graduated licensing system, one that improves the opportunity for young people to be as experienced as possible and as safe as possible when they get behind the wheel.
Young P1 drivers will only be allowed to carry one person between 16 and 21. L and P drivers will be completely banned from using phones. Road safety advocates say changes interstate reduce serious crashes by 70%.
They had a dramatic decline in the number of young people aged between 18 and 23 killed or seriously injured on roads as a result of the improvements in the graduated licence scheme in Victoria.
Social services support the effort to improve road safety, but are concerned there's not enough assistance to help young people clear the hurdles.
Parents are really struggling already to meet these hours. So for these young people that we're really most concerned about, this will be a pretty complex layer to add on top of what is already a very difficult situation.
We are investing in the Learner Driver Mentor Program. We are supporting the Rotary Youth Driver Awareness Program in our schools as well.
The changes are set to come into effect at the end of next year. Michael Breen, 7 Tasmania News.
Academy Award-winning actor Russell Crowe has taken to Twitter slamming the Launceston Golf Club over its decision to cull wildlife. The actor tweeted, "Unacceptable in glorious Tasmania of all places," after reports to Pipwe had granted the club a permit to cull species causing damage to the golf course, a move outraging animal welfare advocates. The club was contacted for comment today but declined to do so. The family of a young Tasmanian woman killed in a New York crash last year has set up a charity house project in her honour. Construction is underway in Howrah for a specially designed house for a 5-year-old with a physical disability. Local tradies and businesses are donating materials and their time, and the savings are set to be donated to Give Me 5 for Kids.
Local tradies working on the foundations for a special project at Howrah.
Well, this is an incredible project because it's purpose-built, custom-built house for a family that has desperate need.
The concrete poured for the house, with modifications to cater for people with physical disabilities. This will become the home for the family of 5-year-old Skylar, who's affected by spastic quadriplegia cerebral palsy. It's set to be a big improvement from their current house.
We have 7 steps up the front of our house, so we have to carry Skylar up and down. She can't use the wheelchair inside at all. Just life-changing, it really is, yeah. It's going to be amazing.
The state government provided the land on contract to Leiden builders. Labour and materials are being donated by more than 100 businesses and individuals.
It is absolutely amazing, and without the support of the community, you just could not do a project like this. And when businesses come forward, obviously Leiden builders are right in the core of it. They're absolutely incredible.
This project with special meaning for the Leiden family, whose business has built charity homes in the past. This project is in honour of 23-year-old Madison Leiden, who was killed in a crash in New York last year.
My sister was a very loving and generous person. She would be so proud to have her name attached to something so great, giving back to the community and doing so much for a family in need.
Money saved by the project will be donated to Give Me 5 for Kids, raising funds for the children's wards in Tasmanian hospitals.
We have always helped out with Give Me 5 for Kids because we always use the hospital too, so to merge them both together is amazing.
The house is hoped to be finished in time for Christmas. Michael Breen, 7 Tasmania News.
And it's been a night to remember for Tasmanian Jay Lockhart, with the Melbourne recruit basking in his first ever victory at the highest level. Well, it was the Brad Cox Goodyear show at UTAS Stadium overnight as the reigning premiers got the better of old TSL rivals Glenorchy. It was one of the most thrilling games seen this season, and the former North Launceston star was instrumental, racking up 20 possessions and booting a crucial goal late in the match to help the D's along to a 5-point win.
Tremendous pressure and tackling in the last 5 minutes or so from our guys that created opportunities, which is unbelievable.
After impressing on debut in round 2 against the Cats by booting a goal with his first touch of the footy, Lockhart is now 4 games into what's shaping up as a promising and potential fairy tale AFL career, having signed with the club at 23 years of age.
It's unbelievable. Obviously been 3 losses prior to that and just being one of that in that first win, and as a club we wanted to get a win as well, so it was really important for us, and a great feeling.
To the TSL, and Lockhart's former side have bounced back from last weekend's loss to Lauderdale in spectacular fashion, spurred on by a 6-goal effort from Brad Cox Goodyear against Glenorchy at UTAS Stadium overnight. The Bombers skipper was on right from the opening bounce, slotting majors from all over the place to see the home side never in doubt. Coach Taylor Whitford channeling Eddie Betts from the pocket as the reigning premiers stormed home the 48-point winners. Bart McCulloch contributing on the scoreboard in his return from injury, with Aidan Grace the best of the visitors with 3 goals, while Pies skipper Braden Webb sent a scare through the Glenorchy camp after his night ended early through injury. Today, the Bombers women's side got off to the perfect start in their first ever TSLW match, dishing fellow competition newcomers Lauderdale a humiliating defeat at UTAS Stadium. The home side kept the visitors scoreless for the entire match as they put on 16 majors to record a 111-point win. Last season's runners-up Clarence also impressing against Kingborough during the day's triple header, with the Tigers managing just 1 goal as the Roos stormed home by 82 points. To the NPL, and it was a goal fest at Darcy Street today, with South Hobart and Olympia unable to be separated on the scoreboard at the full-time whistle. The host struck early in the match, courtesy of a set piece, with Ben Hamlet finishing it off. But Olympia didn't have to wait long for an equaliser, as Jake Vandermeer was rewarded for some hard running. In a seesawing affair, South slotted 1 more into the back of the net before half-time, with the Warriors returning the favour not long into the second. Canadian recruit Iski Van Dorn looked to have sealed the match for the home side, but with just a couple of minutes left to play, Jordan Scott produced a sensational strike to make it a 3-all draw. To basketball, and Southern Huskies have put their fellow New Zealand NBL clubs on notice, falling just short of an upset win over the competition's benchmark side in Hobart overnight. Well, it's been a road trip to forget for Tasmania's NBL 1 hopefuls in Melbourne. The club's newest recruit, Marcel Jones, got straight down to business in front of the rowdy home crowd as the Huskies took it right up to the undefeated Wellington Saints to boast a 7-point lead at the end of the first period. Craig Moller wouldn't be outdone from downtown, with the heavily favoured Saints left stunned and trailing by 15 at half-time. But the visitors came out with a point to prove in the third, slowly edging their way back into the contest. Feeling the pressure, the cracks began to show for the home side, and the ladder leaders made them pay, putting on 32 points in a dominant third period. American Jalen Billups doing his bit to keep the Huskies' hopes alive, throwing down some last-minute buckets to salvage a 3-point lead heading into the final period. With the Saints breathing down their necks, Moller held his nerve, but Jones wasn't as reliable, with the prize recruit missing 2 crucial free throws with less than a minute left of play before giving the ball up and allowing the visitors to come away with a 5-point win. It was a better result for the Hobart Huskies in the NBL 1 overnight, with the side doing it easy over the Ringwood Hawks in Melbourne, recording a desperately needed 19-point win. Earlier, the women's side slipped down to 8th on the league ladder, suffering their second loss on the trot as the Hawks got the job done by 11. It was a road trip to forget for the Launceston Tornadoes also, who were dished up a harsh reality check by the Frankston Blues overnight, outclassed all match before going down by 47 points. The side was more competitive against the Eltham Wildcats in Melbourne today, but a 27-point haul from import Britt Hodges wasn't enough to get them over the line, as the home side kept the Tawns to just 2 wins from 6 matches. The Northwest Thunder bouncing back from a 13-point loss to Frankston overnight, notching up their 3rd win of the season against the Wildcats today, with import Nick Baynard leading the charge with 27, as the Thunder held on by 5 points.
And finally in sport, Cameron Worth's strong start to 2019 has continued, with the Tasmanian setting a new Ironman Australia record in Port Macquarie today. After a slow start in the swim leg that saw him 4 minutes off the pace, Worth well and truly made it up during a dominant bike leg to head into the run 6 minutes ahead of the pack. The former Olympic rower holding on after more than 220 gruelling kilometres of racing, crossing the line in a record time of 8 hours, 6 minutes and 17 seconds, going from strength to strength, Rach.
Good evening. Devonport was the state's warmest today, reaching a high of 18, Burnie 17, Launceston reaching 16 and 14 for Hobart. Other centres today, 16 was a popular temperature for Strawn and Smithton, 15 for St Helens and Friendly Beaches, Grove 13 and Lyowini reaching 10. On the close-up, low-level cloud pushing over eastern parts of the state. On the satellite, low-level cloud over the state and the mainland, a frontal cloud band over the Tasman Seas also being driven by an upper-level disturbance. Tomorrow, a narrow ridge to the west and of the state, while a low near the east, a cold front across southern Western Australia extending a trough northwards. South to southeasterly winds 10 to 15 knots tomorrow, swells around 2 metres in the west and south and below a metre in the north. A strong wind warning is current for northeastern coastal waters from north of Flinders Island to Wineglass Bay. Tomorrow's forecast now, Hobart a possible light morning shower, Dover and Ouse 14. In the north, Launceston reaching 16, Devonport and Scottsdale mostly sunny. Burnie tomorrow mostly sunny and 16, Strawn and Ouse both reaching 15. A partly cloudy day for St Helens, Swansea expecting a light shower or 2 and Ross 13. Looking to the 3-day forecast now, Tuesday, possible light morning showers about the east and southeast coasts, showers developing about the north and west during the afternoon. Wednesday, showers about the northwest and far south, and finally Thursday, showers developing about the north and west extending throughout the evening. Capital cities Perth and Sydney both reaching 21, mostly sunny for Adelaide, Canberra and Cairns, and Melbourne 17, Brisbane 25. And on to current temperatures, Hobart mostly cloudy, Launceston 11 clear, Devonport 11 mostly cloudy. That's all in weather tonight. Back to you, Rach.
Thank you for that, Jackie. Well, that's all your news for now. Thanks for joining us. Have a great week. Good night.